Hello, North Georgia, and those of you who are taking this course through USG's eCampus. Hopefully this time you can actually hear me. Apparently my microphone was not working in the original one that I recorded, so we're going to do this again, perhaps a little more quickly this time. What I'm doing today is going through the syllabus with you so you have some understanding of what's going on in the course. My name is Farah Driver. I am your instructor for this course. I've been teaching history for, since 1987, off and on. I've had other jobs as well. I owned a bookstore for a little while. I've managed restaurants and taverns. Currently, I am teaching full-time and also the kitchen manager for a small local restaurant. So I'm pretty busy, as I'm sure you can tell. So I'm going to try to make this as concise as I can. I really do love history. I really do love teaching. So let's get that out there first. My experience includes teaching all of the 100 and 200 level courses, both sections of World Civ, both sections of Western Civ, both sections of US. But I have also taught upper level courses. I've taught women's studies. I've taught Enlightenment, Reformation, Renaissance, all of the big Western movements of the transition from the medieval into the modern age. I've taught colonization. My particular field of interest is indigenous studies, particularly Native Americans and what's happened to them since European control of the hemisphere. But I've also done other colonial studies as well, transatlantic studies, etc. So I'm kind of all over the place in terms of what my interests are and what I like to teach. I've also taught Revolutions, which was a great course. I really, really enjoyed that one. So lots of experience in a lot of different things, and you'll see that in this course, in the questions that I'm asking you in the discussions that I'll be asking you on your exams. So without further ado, let us go through the course. First off, if you're in the History 111 course, then you really don't need a textbook. Almost all of the readings are supplied already within the course. I will say that if you do want one, though, I recommend the Cordas et al. Book located at OpenStax, World History Volume 1 to 1500. I use this when I teach at GGC because it's easy to access, it's free, and it's very good. They do some very good work with it, and they include primary sources in it, and we'll talk about that as we go along. You are required, obviously, since this is an asynchronous online class, to have internet connection and access to a computer. I encourage you to bear in mind that if you have computer problems during the course of the semester and you can't access our website or our interfaces, to check your local library, because most local libraries, public libraries, now have computers that you can access for an hour or two to do work. North Georgia, I think, also has access to computers on campus. You may have to go there. If you are somewhere else in the state, you should check around again. If you're anywhere close to any other USG campuses, normally they also have computer labs and areas that have computers. I know GGC does. They have a computer lab in basically every building. And I know many of the other USG facilities do as well. So you should be able to access a computer, even if it's not one you can take home, but certainly enough of one to be able to get some work done. I caution you that letting me know if you're having problems is always a good idea. Better to be ahead of the curve than behind it. So if you do find yourself with problems, let me know as soon as possible so we can work out some resolution. All right, so the course description. This course is a study of intellectual, cultural, scientific, political, and social contributions of the civilizations of the world, and that means pretty much all of them, and the evolution of these civilizations during the periods from the ancient civilizations or first civilizations through the classical civilizations and even into the post-classical and early modern. We'll be looking at how they impacted us even into today. And in fact, that's part of the focus that you'll notice in many of the discussion questions. We focus on the world itself, not just Eurasia, but also sub-Saharan Africa, the South Pacific, and the Western Hemisphere prior to the arrival of Columbus. So it really is everywhere in the world. So be prepared to learn lots and lots and lots of different things. The competency areas, these are the things that we'll be studying. They're pretty much listed there, and you'll find that the weekly layout of our course pretty much works the same way, mirrored in that. Upon completion of this course, you should be able to identify all these periods, understand some of the big events going on in them, particularly when we get to the classical civilizations such as ancient Rome, Han China, etc. We'll be looking at the development of monotheism and its impact on the world. In fact, this is part of what defines the classical civilizations. Islam arrives in the post-classical age in the 800s or 600s, in the 600s, but it is very significant. So all of these things we'll be looking at and discussing how, again, they still impact us today. As I mentioned before, the instructional method for this course is that it is online asynchronous. We do not meet at any specific time. Instead, you pretty much work on your own. And that's what this online asynchronous means. Course is taught fully online. Students are not required to be online at a specific date or time. It does, however, require a proctored event. If you are a student at North Georgia, if you are taking this course exclusively through North Georgia, your final exam will be proctored on campus, on one of the North Georgia campuses. So you will have to go there on May the 6th to take the exam. If you are in the USGE campus, then your exam will be online, but you will be using Respondus Lockdown Browser and Respondus Monitor. So you need to be sure that you have those applications on your computer so that you can experiment with them and make sure they work. The last thing you want to do on the day of exam is to discover that there's some glitch in your operating system that won't let those work, because at that point in time, it's almost too late. All right, so distance education, federal compliance, these are the things that USG and the University or the North Georgia campus must do in compliance. I encourage you to pay attention to that. One of those, of course, is the proctored event, part of why we have the final exam proctored for those students at North Georgia College, part of why we have all of the actually, you know what? If you are actually in North Georgia, not only will you be proctored on the final exam on campus, but your other exams will also be through Respondus Lockdown Browser. So definitely anybody who's taking this course from me needs to be sure that they have downloaded Respondus Lockdown Browser and Monitor and that they do work. So you want to be sure you do that before the first exam, which is in week 5. So as you will see when we get to that on the syllabus. All right. With that in mind, of course, you're all protected by FERPA, the Federal Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. I can't discuss your grades with anybody but you. And your academic record is entirely yours, regardless of how old you are. If you are attending an institution of higher learning, you are considered, for the purposes of FERPA, an adult, and therefore it is your files are private. All right, so course weighting. All right, 20% of the course is based in quizzes that you will take each week, and all of the quizzes are mandatory. They all count. So you want to be sure you keep up with those. Discussions, I only count the highest one from each section or each segment of the course. So the first exam, as I said, is in week 5. I will count your highest discussion grade from weeks 1 through 4. What this effectively means is that obviously you don't have to answer every discussion, but it does mean that you need to keep an eye out on how to do them to get a good grade. And I wholeheartedly encourage you to experiment, definitely the first couple of weeks, with doing the discussion so you have some sense of what I'm looking for. A good discussion is one that uses lots of examples from the readings, from all of the required sources, and there are multiple required sources in every week, both videos and readings. You want to be sure that you use all of your sources in some capacity, and when I say use them, what I mean is cite them. You must cite internally in everything you submit to me, both the top post in your discussions and your peer comments. So you want to be sure that you get on top of that very early on. The tests, the first 3 exams, count a cumulative 40% of your grade. And then the final exam, which is itself cumulative, counts 20%. And all of your tests will be primarily essay. There may be some multiple choice or some other things in there, but for the most part, they're going to be essay. So that's the other reason why keeping up with the discussions is a good idea, because that will teach you this whole idea of critical thinking, which is basically what you take a history course in college for. You learn how to critically think. And what that means is learning not just how to make an argument, how to support an argument, and how to consider the perspectives and biases of your sources, whether they be secondary, such as your textbooks or academic articles, or whether they're primary, documents that were written in the past by someone living through a specific age or time and talking about it. All right, so the grading scheme is standard, as it is for almost all USG systems. 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 89 is a B, 70 to 79 is a C, 60 to 69 is a D. Anything below 60 we don't really want to think about, right? Okay, there are multiple services for students with disabilities. I encourage you to investigate those if you feel the need. I would also point out the late work policy. If you have a reason for something being late and it is legitimate, you are sick, you're in an accident, some catastrophic event occurs, let me know as soon as possible prior to the deadline for whatever it is, whether it be a quiz, whether it be the discussion top post, which will be due on Fridays, whether it'll be the peer comments, which are due by Monday, etc. Let me know as soon as you know. All students are expected to adhere to the safety infraction procedure, or the policy set forth, which is in the course catalog and student handbook, which you should have. Attendance expectations. Okay. You are expected to submit something each week. And obviously with the quizzes, you have to, because a quiz is due at the end of each week. And to be clear, my weekly structure is effectively Tuesday to Monday. Monday to me is the end of the week. It gives you the weekend to do work, especially for those of you who are not on campus or who are working or have other life commitments that you need to do. For my purposes, our weeks start on Tuesday. Your discussion top post is due on Friday. Your peer comments are due by Monday. The quiz is due by Monday. And then your exams, when you have them, will be on Mondays or Tuesdays, depending. The midterm, which is technically our second exam, the date for it is set by North Georgia, by the USG system, so it has to be on a Monday. So that week, your actual work will end on Sunday. I will try to make these things clear to you, post notices on that, but they're all in the calendar at this point in time. All right. You will definitely, though, in the first 2 days, have to complete the course agreement. And this is basically an acknowledgement that you've read the syllabus, you understand the expectations of you, and what you need to do. If you do not agree to the course agreement, then you will be dropped from the course. So effectively, you must do that in order for me not to drop you. You must also demonstrate some participation by doing the quiz and or the discussion for the first couple of weeks. There are very good tutoring services if you feel that you need them. You can also check in with me, ask me questions via email. The final exam for us, again, will be in person. For those who are taking the course at North Georgia, for those of you who are doing it through USG, it will be online, as I mentioned before. If you would like to meet with me, email me. We will set up a time and we will do it through Zoom. The best way to get in touch with me is via my email address with North Georgia, Farrah Driver at northgeorgiatech.edu. All right, so that's our syllabus. Let me pause for a minute and then I'm going to pull up our actual website and walk you through some of the stuff on it. Okay, so this is our Blackboard webpage for spring semester 2026 World History. World History 1 to 1500, whether you are in the USG course or in our regular North Georgia course, this is pretty much what it's going to look like. When you scroll down, you'll see that it is laid out. Actually, here you go. I'll do this so that it makes it easier for you. There we go. All right. These are called modules, and each one of these modules is basically what we're doing. Learning Module 1 is what we're going to be working on this week. All the stuff above this is information to help you understand the course and be introduced to it. So the welcome and course overview, if you click on the little down arrow over here, is going to open up these different things. You'll get the Welcome to World Civ 1, where this video will be located right here once I change that link to one where you actually have audio. It gives you a basic introduction to me and how to get in touch with me. And then the first day requirements are the ones that I was just talking about. Here's an actual copy of the syllabus itself. I realize it says fall. It's supposed to be spring, but it is the actual syllabus that I just went over earlier in this video. Same one. And then this is the course agreement. This is what you have to do in order to remain in the course, right? Please, please, please do these things. Go answer these questions and so forth. And then this is the schedule of most important dates, which I didn't go over, but I should. If you are in the USG system, your dates are in italics. We start the course on Monday, January the 12th, as opposed to those in on campus at North Georgia, who will be starting it on Wednesday, January the 14th. But either way, same thing applies. The only big difference is that the last day to drop ad for the USG eCampus is January the 20th. For on campus, it is Wednesday the last day to drop is January the 20th. So, but all the other dates are the same. The dates for the tests are the same. Monday, March the 9th is the midterm. Your first exam actually is on Tuesday, February the 10th. The last day to withdraw without penalty is March the 24th, last drop ad day. March the 30th through April the 2nd is spring break. And then exam 3 is going to be April the 14th. And then the actual final exam is on May the 6th. If you are at North Georgia, it's proctored on campus. You have to go sometime between 8 and 4 o'clock to one of the proctoring centers. If you are with USG, then you'll be using Respondus Lockdown Browser online at some point that day to take it. Thursday, May the 7th is when grades are due in Banner. So, all right. So these are basically, this is what you get out of this welcome section: classroom essentials, course institutional policies and support. These are good things to look at as well. Click on that, and it's going to take you back to our top page. As I said, with the course materials themselves, everything is actually in each week. This learning module on the museum review, I'm still debating how I'm going to do that. I think that's going to be an extra credit option, and I will think about it some over the next week and get back in touch with you about it. It does not actually have anything in the grade book for it, so I'm still debating what I'm going to do with that. But for the first week, we're in Learning Module 1, Prehistory. So if you click on that, these are the things you're going to see in it. You have an activities checklist, which is going to tell you what you need to be doing. You're going to have your learning objectives. Then you're going to have instruction. And it's in instruction that we get more subsections. You have readings. Whoops, I don't want you to be hidden. Sorry, I'm not sure why those are hidden. You have a PowerPoint. No. And you have videos. You also have a section on further exploration if there are more things you want to look at. You have a section on historiography, which I encourage you to look at because I added that and we're going to be doing it. Then you have your discussion with your top post again, due by Friday, and your peer comments due between Friday and Monday. And you have the quiz, which is also due by Monday. I also encourage you to look at this link on the characteristics of civilizations, and we'll say that as kind of something we'll be talking about over the next few weeks in the discussions and in some of the other things we'll be looking at. All right, so this is week 1. This is what you're doing. When I say in your discussion, well, let's look at the discussion so you have some sense of what I'm talking about here. Here you go. Discussion 1. All right. Using all of the required readings and videos for this week, and to be clear, to demonstrate to me that you are using them, of course, you must internally cite them. If you don't understand what internal citation is, let me know. In fact, actually, I should post and send you a thing on APA citation format, which is what you're using. APA citation is mandatory, both internal and a works cited. And these are not just for the top post, it's for everything you post, including your peer comments. All right, so post your top post by Friday, then respond to 3 of your peers by Monday. For your peer responses, respond to the questions you did not answer in your top post. Your peer comments must include internal citation or works cited, and they should bring in information that was not included in the top post to which you are responding. So basically what you're doing, you are looking at these 4 questions. You're picking one of them that you're going to answer in and of itself. You're going to post that answer, and then after you post that top post, you're going to look at other top posts that come in, hopefully on the other 3 questions you didn't answer, and respond to them. The idea being that you're going to demonstrate to me a working knowledge of all of these ideas from the readings and the videos that you have for this week. All right, so that's effectively what we have going on this week. And again, you have your quiz due on Monday, by Monday as well, even though you can do it earlier if you want. Okay, this came out much shorter than the one that I did first, so I wonder what I forgot to include. I will tell you, you will need to look at the historiography because one of the questions has to do with historiography. And historiography is really important. It's basically this idea of how we tell the story of history and how that story changes from generation to generation and why it changes. And it's particularly important in understanding that history is written basically by those of us who didn't live through the part we're writing about. So when we look at it, we're often looking at it through our own lens and through our own interpretations, basically through our own perspective and our own bias. So consider that when you're reading these things that you're reading and you're looking at these things at which you're looking at. All right, with that in mind, sorry that the first video didn't work. Hopefully this one will, and you'll be able to hear me. I look forward to working with you over the next 13 or 14 weeks and getting to know you. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.